Welcome to Echo of Crime YouTube channel. On August 9, 2020, the neighborhood along Archers Road in Wilson, North Carolina, felt like any other warm summer evening. Families were outside enjoying the weather, children were riding bicycles, and parents sat on porches talking as the sun began to set. Among them was 5-year-old Cannon Hinnant, a cheerful little boy with a big personality. That evening, he rode his bike back and forth in the driveway of his father's home, his sisters playing nearby, the routine familiar and comforting. Nothing about the atmosphere suggested that anything out of the ordinary was about to happen. Neighbors recalled Cannon laughing, pedaling fast on his small bike, and calling out to his family. His father and relatives were outside within steps of him, keeping an eye on all the children as they played. Nearby, Darius Sessoms, a longtime neighbor known to the family, was seen walking in and out of his own home. Witnesses later said there had never been any ongoing feud or argument between him and Cannon's family. In fact, Sessoms had even shared meals with them in the past. That made what happened next all the more shocking and difficult for the community to understand. Just moments later, everything changed in an instant. Witnesses reported seeing Sessoms walk toward Cannon with no warning, no argument, and no visible sign of conflict. Adults nearby reacted immediately, rushing toward the child, yelling for help, and calling 911. Neighbors came running from across the street, trying to make sense of what they had just seen. Panic spread rapidly through the block as Cannon's relatives and bystanders tried to help and awaited emergency responders. Within minutes, police and medical personnel arrived at the scene, and the quiet Sunday evening had transformed into a chaotic and heartbreaking moment that the community would never forget. As the first moments of shock rippled through Archers Road, neighbors and family members scrambled to understand what had just happened. Adults who witnessed the incident rushed toward Cannon, while others instinctively grabbed their phones and dialed 911. Callers described a sudden, unprovoked act and emphasized the urgency of the situation. Within minutes, sirens echoed through the quiet neighborhood as Wilson police, firefighters, and emergency medical teams converged on the scene. Witnesses later told investigators that the event happened so quickly and unexpectedly that there was no time to react before Sessoms fled. Several neighbors reported seeing him run toward his car and speed away, leaving behind a neighborhood in chaos. Some residents stood frozen on their porches, stunned by what they had witnessed, while others pointed officers in the direction Sessoms had taken off in. Cannon's father, devastated but composed enough to speak to officers, gave a detailed account of the moments leading up to the tragedy, emphasizing that there had been no argument, no prior conflict, and no hint of danger. Police immediately initiated a countywide search. Patrol units were dispatched across Wilson and neighboring communities, while detectives began gathering statements and reviewing the layout of the neighborhood. Officers canvassed homes door to door, collecting eyewitness accounts that all shared the same basic fact. Sessoms had acted without warning and then escaped in his vehicle. The Wilson Police Department released a bulletin within the hour, alerting nearby agencies and the public that Sessoms was wanted in connection with a serious incident and should be considered someone they needed to locate quickly. Meanwhile, the emotional toll on the neighborhood was immense. Families huddled together on lawns, many comforting Cannon's siblings and relatives, while officers secured the area. Childhood toys, bicycles, and chalk drawings still sat scattered across driveways, reminders of the normal day that had existed only minutes earlier. Neighbors, shaken and heartbroken, described Cannon as a joyful child who was outside almost every afternoon, playing and riding his bike. His absence left an immediate and heavy silence over the block. Police worked swiftly, gathering evidence, documenting witness statements, and coordinating with state and federal partners. Their focus was clear: locate Darius Sessoms and bring him into custody safely. What no one in the neighborhood knew yet was that the search would be successful far sooner than expected, bringing the first step toward answers in a case that had shaken an entire community. The search for Darius Sessoms intensified quickly after police issued an urgent bulletin across Wilson County and neighboring jurisdictions. Officers followed multiple leads while tracking his known connections and recent movements. By that evening, Authorities located him at a residence outside the city limits. Sessoms was taken into custody without resistance, ending a search that had gripped the community with fear and confusion. The swift arrest brought a measure of relief, but the deeper emotional impact of the event was only beginning to unfold. In the days that followed, the neighborhood on Archers Road became a place of remembrance. Families brought flowers, balloons, stuffed animals, and handwritten messages for Cannon, transforming the front yard into a memorial filled with color and heartbreak. Neighbors who had witnessed the incident spoke to investigators again, offering detailed accounts to ensure the legal process would be clear and accurate. Many described Cannon as a bright, joyful child who loved to ride his bike and play with his sisters, memories the community held onto tightly as they struggled to process what had happened. As the legal case moved forward, Sessoms faced multiple charges, and the courtroom proceedings began drawing national attention. His prior history and mental state became subjects of discussion during the hearings. Ultimately, Sessoms pleaded guilty and received a life sentence without the possibility of parole, bringing legal closure to a case that had deeply shaken not only the neighborhood but people across the country. The conviction meant that Cannon's family would not have to endure a lengthy trial or relive the events through witness testimony, something many in the community believed was a small but meaningful mercy. Even after the sentencing, Cannon's memory continued to unite the town. Community members organized vigils, charity events, and awareness campaigns focused on child safety and stronger neighborhood support systems. His family's commitment to honoring his life inspired countless acts of kindness across Wilson and beyond. Though nothing could undo the tragedy, the response revealed the resilience of a community determined to remember a child for the happiness he brought, rather than the circumstances of his loss. To this day, the Cannon Hinnant case remains one of the most widely discussed tragedies in recent North Carolina history, a reminder of how quickly a peaceful evening can change, how vital community witnesses can be, and how deeply a small child's life can impact people far beyond the place he called home.